students, I'm Aanchal Sharma, your educator. In this video, we are going to discuss about another novelist and her name is Gita Hariharan. So in this video, we are going to discuss about the important works and the novels written by the writer Gita Hariharan. Gita Hariharan was born in 1954 and she is an Indian writer and editor based in New Delhi. Her first novel was The Thousand Faces of Night, and it is a very, very important novel. It won the Commonwealth Writers' Prize and it received the prize in 1993. So her first book, The Thousand Faces of Night, it is a very important text as well, received the prize of the Commonwealth Writers' Prize in the year 1993. Her other works include the short story collection, and all of these collections are important. The Art of Dying, that came out in 1993. Then the novels are like The Ghost of Vasu Master, that came out in 1994. So this is the name of the novel. The Ghost of Vasu Master came out in 1994. When Dreams Travel in 1999. Then In Time's Siege, it came out in 2003. We have Fugitive Histories in 2009. I Became the Tide in 2019. And there is a collection of essays entitled as Almost Home, Cities and Other Places, that came out in 2014. So these are the few works for which Gita Hariharan is very famous. Gita Hariharan has also written children's stories also. So not only short stories and novels, she has also written some children's story and co-edited a collection for the children called as Sorry, Best Friend, that came out in 1997. She has also edited a collection of translation of short fiction, A Southern Harvest, in 1993. And the essay collection From India to Palestine, Essays in Solidarity, that came out in 2014. And she also co-edited The Battling for India, a Citizen's Reader, that came out in 2019. So these are the top most important work of Gita Hariharan. This is the picture of Gita Hariharan right in front of you. This is the first novel that we will be discussing. Before directly jumping into the novels, let us quickly revise also what we have seen about Gita Hariharan. So Gita Hariharan, as I told you, was born in 1954 and is a prolific writer. Her themes are centered around the women literature, or she's a feminist writer, you can say that. She writes about the hardships that a woman has to go through, about the marital suffering, and about how it is important to come up, have their own voice in this patriarchal structure. She is an Indian writer and also has edited some of the very important texts. Her first novel, The Thousand Faces of Night, won the Commonwealth Prize in 1993. Her short story collection, The Art of Dying, became very important. Novels like The Ghost of Vasu Master, When Dreams Travel, Fugitive History, In Times of Siege, I Have Become the Tide are very important texts itself. There are essay collections also like The Almost Home, Cities and Other Places, that came out in 2014 are important. She has also contributed to the field and the genre of children's literature, and she has written this text, or you can say a short story. She has co-edited this collection called as Sorry, Best Friend, that came out in 1997. She has also edited and translated works like A Southern Harvest and essay collections From India to Palestine. This is an essay collection. Essays in Solidarity in 2014 is also a work. And then we have the co-edited work Battling for India, a Citizen's Reader, that came out in 2019. So I'm pretty sure you have made your own notes. Make a few columns in your notebooks and write the typical important works of Gita Hariharan. This is going to help you, I'm sure. Then let us study about The Thousand Faces of Night. This is the first novel and Gita is very, very famous for this novel. This novel is centered around 3 women characters. We'll be looking at the summary and this became a very important text. It came out in 1993. The Thousand Faces of Night came out in 1993, is mainly based on the key women characters. There are three key women characters and the protagonist in the text. Devi, the central character, Sita, her mother, and there is Mayama, and Mayama is the caretaker cum cook of the family. So these are the three women characters that you see in the novel, and there is a story between a story that is going on. So you broadly see the story of Devi, who is the central character. She is someone who is married to a man and who thought that marriage would be a very happy thing for her, but she also suffers just the same as her mother Sita did. And similarly, she will somewhat remember that how the suffering will lead her to live the life the same as the Mayama was living the life. So there are few details in the novel that are very important, and we will be discussing these stories also, right? So now let us start by discussing Devi. Devi comes from a Brahmin family. This novel is talking about the story between a story, and the most important relationship about which Devi is centered, that is a central character, is her grandmother. So grandmother has died now, but Devi has a lot of characteristics, a lot of resonance that she has of her own grandmother. So the grandmother has died. But Devi still remembers grandmother, the things that the grandmother has taught her. So she comes from this Brahmin family who are from a well-educated family, and they are also liberal. That is why Devi was sent to America. Devi was sent abroad for her further studies. She completed her MA from there. So she was sent outside in US to complete her education. And this is how we see that there is a juxtaposition in Devi's personality. She has the personality of an Indian woman because of the stories that the grandmother used to tell her. So she used to tell a lot of myths, a lot of fantastic tales. That is why the name is also the Thousand Faces of the Night, right? So this is how, in the whole story, we'll see that Devi's character is very much shaped because of the prolific stories or because of the mythical stories that the grandmother used to tell her. Devi has shaped her personality around it, but now the grandmother has died, but still the stories are in her head only. She will remember the stories like Gandhari, she'll remember the stories of different women that were strong characters. And throughout the journey of the novel, she will remember these stories, and at the end, she will find her answers and solace in the stories only, right? But her personality never stops only here. Her personality goes one step further because she was sent to US. So this personality of a US returned woman, educated from US, plus a person who has been grown up listening to old fantastic tales of myth and women characters. So her personality is shaped in these two manners. She has the reminiscence of these mythical characters, and also she is shaped with like a US woman. So this is our very own character, the first character that we have. There are modern experiences and myths that make up our personality, Devi. So Devi was married to this man Mahesh, and Mahesh ke saath she just married, and she always remembered the stories that the grandmother used to tell her, and she remembered the tale of the Dayanvati. So Dayanvati was a princess, and she got married to a king, and his name was Nala. So she was married to Nala, and this is how she also wanted to get married. So she, for the longest period of time, Devi wanted to have a Swayamvar for her marriage as well. She thought that she will also have a Swayamvar. She will choose her Prince Charming, and the person would be very strong, very supportive, just like Nala was. Like Dayanvati got the chance, she also will get a chance to choose her husband. But that was never the case. She got married to Mahesh, and Devi started living with Mahesh. But of course, few years of their family were a happy marriage, but later the problem started. And gradually she realized that she is not in a happy marriage because Mahesh never gave her much time. Mahesh used to travel, and he was an unavailable man that time. And also Devi suffered because she was very much alienated, and she was suffering. She was lonely in that marriage. So she wanted to find solace, And that solace she received in the father of Mahesh, right? So in the father-in-law, whose name is Baba, he's referred to as Baba in the novel. He was the father of Mahesh, the person whom Devi was married. So Devi was married to Mahesh. Mahesh had a father, Baba, and she started to spend more and more time in Baba. So the death of the grandmother was replaced by Baba in this life, because Baba used to talk to her about women, strong women mythological characters. That is why she had a great personality with, and a great, a great tuning with Baba. Then later on, what happened? She then met another man outside the home, and she got interested in that man as well. And his name was Gopal. His name was Gopal. So this Gopal was a singer, and our very own character Devi fell in love with Gopal. She left Mahesh, the unhappy married life, and eloped with Gopal. But that time also Gopal was not someone who can satisfy Devi. Devi still felt very alienated. Devi felt that she's not happy because Gopal also cheated on her. So still the feeling of void was very much there in Devi, and Devi realized that what is she even doing in her life? She has been suffering. So the role of the husband was not played well by Mahesh. Also Gopal failed her. So she's not a lover, not a good wife. What is she doing in her life? So there was this identity crisis that she was going through. Then she remembered her mother Sita now. During this story, we now see the flashback that will come in between. So she will remember her mother Sita, and she knows that Sita is someone who can take care of her, and she loves her mother. But the mother's life is also not simple. The mother was very fond of Veena. She was a classical singer, and she used to play Veena. But once, because of some family problem she had to leave the very own instrument that gave her solace. That was the only instrument. By playing that instrument, Sita used to feel happy. But she could not play that incident also. So that is why now we see Sita, who is the mother of Devi, who is now just living there an idle life. She is also in a marriage that is not that good, and she cannot play her favorite instrument, that is Veena, as well. Gradually, we also see Mayamma, who is also a character, and a very sad story is associated with Mayamma as well. Mayamma is a woman who gave birth to a son, but that son also used to beat her. So Mayamma was married to a gambler. She was married at the age of 14. So Mayamma was married at the age of 14 to a gambler. He was not a good husband, used to beat Mayamma. In fact, there we see in the story of Mayamma, we see that the mother-in-law of Mayamma also, physically abused Mayamma. And there was this incident that they have discussed, that hot spices were poured on the naked body of Mayamma, and she had to go through such terrible conditions, traumatic conditions. Pain was always there in the life of Mayamma. And then after some time, when there was a son who was born in their family, and his name is Raja, she thought that maybe he can give her respect. But Raja, the son, Raja, also failed Mayamma. He was, the life could not be so cruel to anyone as it has been to Mayamma, because Raja was also similar to his father. Raja also used to beat his own mother. But later, because of few health conditions, we see that Raja died. So Raja died, and of course, it was only the mother who later, till the very end, tried to protect Raja and was with him on the deathbed also. So now, after looking at all the characters, Devi is remembering all the characters. The story within the story is the story of Mayamma only. After discussing and after thinking about Sita, her mother, after having these traumatic recollections of Mayamma, now Devi is remembering different stories that are told by Baba and by her grandmother. She remembered the role of Gandhari. She realized that the woman has to sacrifice, the woman has to somehow settle down. Gandhari, because her husband was blind, decided to blind herself for her entire life. She also remembered the story of a snake who was married to a girl. So this girl was forced to marry a snake, and she did. And then the snake just turned into what? The snake turned into a beautiful prince. So she decided that yes, maybe the woman has to somehow succumb to the circumstances, and this is how the woman can live. But of course, there are the other patterns in the story and other juxtaposed stories that are making her life very horrible. So what is happening at the end? At the end, we realize that Devi is now going to Sita again. She has decided to go back to Sita. She said that she can lead a life alone. She does not want to become like Gandhari. Neither she wants to marry a Prince Charming so that she can get the most beautiful and handsome husband in her life. She just wants a life of her own. She wants her own identity. So at the end, we hear Sita, who is playing Veena, and Devi would realize that there is one sound coming from that direction. She'll go there and will be mesmerized looking at her mother playing that Veena again. So that instrument will say that yes, there are about 1,000 faces of night. The mother and the daughter and their servant has seen thousands of troubles, thousands and thousands of faces of troubles, but they are all coming together. They are all finding solace in one another. So these women characters of Hariharan, Gita Hariharan, narrated traumatic story condition of the society's patriarchal pattern. They also portray the societal prospects, the unthinkable customs laid by the institution of patriarchy. Hariharan in this novel is quite selective and prefers to use the narrative technique of story within a story. She demonstrates her story using mythological references, myths, and greater epics. There are references to Ramayana, Mahabharata, and these are considered as popular texts. So she will use the women characters from these texts. She wants to infuse the sense of responsibility and adherence in her female characters and protagonists. As the mythical women figures emerge into vicious form and exercise their own hardships and intellectuality, she states that her women can also achieve it. Timely actions can be done, and the end of the struggle of the womanhood can be achieved. So this was the story, this was a very important story, The 1,000 Faces of Night, that came out in 1993. Another story is The Ghost of Vasu Master. This is an important but fairly easy story that came, this novel came in 1994. The Ghost of Vasu Master by Gita Hariharan explores the journey of a retired school teacher, Vasu Master, who has been teaching in 40 years, for a span of 40 years in PG Boys School in Chennai. The novel deals with various grave problems of the Indian education system. So this novel will talk about the grave problems of an Indian education system. In this novel, Gita questions the drawbacks of our Indian education system and how our nation can improve if better education is given. Then we have When Dreams Travel. When Dreams Travel came out in 1993 is Gita Hariharan's thought-provoking novel, in which she campaigns, she says that the women's rights are very important, the cause of the women's right, while dealing with the story of the various classical texts. She mixes these women's rights and also their plight and mixes it with the different tales of 1001 Nights. This is the different tales are taken from it. She in this novel treats of the story, the famous text, with her narrative in a manner that raises her concern related to the treatment of women in this ancient classic. So this Arabian Nights is a novel, is a short story collection, and she takes up the stories from those texts and then treats and sees that how the women characters are placed there. Gita Hariharan in this novel adds deliberately the touch of feminism while continuing the story from the very end and making it highly relevant to the modern times. So she will take the mythical characters, she will take these ancient characters from the Arabian Nights, 1100 Nights, and she will use those characters and look at the women characters there. This is the picture. Then we have The Fugitive History that came out in 2009. The characters in Gita Hariharan's Fugitive History undergo identity crisis. Here, the problem of identity crisis is very important in the anxious state of religious hatred as well as violence. So the backdrop is the religious hatred and the violence that will go about. Here we are talking about the Godhra riots of Gujarat. So which is the historical event we are referring to? In 2002, we see that this Gita Hariharan sets the practical or the particular crisis in the track record of the post Godhra riots in Gujarat in 2002, as well as the persistent tension among the Muslims and the Hindus. So at the backdrop, you will find the tensions between the Hindu family and a Muslim family, and the basic plot line is the post or the traumatic events, the post Godhra riots that happened in Gujarat in 2002. Then we have I Have Become the Tide that came out in 2019. This is a story that talks about different other stories combined together. There are interlocking stories that will come up together of Rohit Vellum, M.M. Kulburgi, and the 20th century Bhakti movement. So this is not that important, but you should know the date in which, the year in which we see that the book was published, right? So the most important text we all know is this novel that we have discussed, The Thousand Faces of Night by Gita Hariharan. It came out in 1993. The other texts that we have seen are also important. I hope you will remember these texts. These are the few important texts written by Gita Hariharan, and the main themes that she touched are the feminist novels, the feminist problems, patriarchal society, and how the women are trying to adjust and grapple with the patriarchal society and their norms, right? So I hope you understood whatever I had for you in this video. And if you have any doubt, you can write it in the comment section and I shall surely reply to you. Thank you so much.